Hi everyone, welcome to the Yellowcast. My name is Melek, and today we'll talk about the kind of sadness nobody notices. Some people think they know a person just because they have seen their smile, but they do not see the quiet sadness hiding behind tired eyes. They do not see the night spent staring at the ceiling, wondering why existing feels so heavy sometimes. The world only notices loud pain. Nobody notices the kind that grows silently inside a person until it becomes part of them. And once that sadness settles deep enough, it begins changing everything else too. There are people who stop eating, not because they are not hungry, but because pain changed the way life feels. Sometimes control becomes more comforting than happiness. Hunger starts to feel safer than emotions. And little by little, a person learns how to disappear without actually leaving. The scary part is how normal the sadness begins to feel after a while, until even caring for themselves starts to feel unnecessary. That is why some people become obsessed with good grades. They believe being successful will finally make them worthy of love. Every high score becomes proof that they are useful, important, enough. Nobody realizes how many young people tie their value to numbers on paper because they cannot find value anywhere else. Nobody notices how terrified they are of disappointing everyone around them, especially when failure feels like the final proof that they were never enough to begin with. And those headphones they always wear, they're not just for music. Music becomes a hiding place after the pleasure becomes too loud. A second home, certain songs understand feelings that words never could. At 3 in the morning, when the room feels colder than usual, lyrics sometimes hold a person together better than people do. A sad song can feel more comforting than an entire conversation. Because songs never interrupt, never judge, and never leave halfway through the truth. After a while, comfort starts existing only in quiet little things nobody asks about. The books filled with underlined sentences. The way someone watched the stars for too long, as if the sky might answer back one day. The soft love they have for animals, because animals do not ask difficult questions. Writing becomes their only honest language. Paper listens better than people ever did, especially when speaking out loud starts feeling impossible. And then certain months begin carrying too much pain. November, March, April, May. Days connected to memories nobody else remembers anymore. The strange thing about heartbreak is that the time passes for everyone, except the person still trapped inside the memory. The world moves on while part of them stays frozen in the worst moment of their life, replaying the same feeling so many times that the sadness begins feeling permanent. People always say family means safety, but sometimes family becomes the first place where loneliness begins. Love can exist beside pain. Someone can feel invisible by sitting at the dinner table with everyone around them. Some wounds are not created by enemies. They created slowly, quietly, by the people who were supposed to protect them most. And because of that, trust in others later in life starts to feel terrifying. Growing up too early changes a person forever. It teaches them how to cry silently, how to hide emotions before anyone notices, how to say it's okay, even when nothing feels okay at all. After a while, they stop expecting comfort from others. They learn how to survive their sadness alone. Because depending on people starts to feel dangerous, especially after learning how quickly people can misunderstand pain they have never experienced it themselves. And maybe that is the tragedy of being human. Every person walking through crowded streets is carrying something invisible, a grief, a memory, a fear they never speak about. Some people are not rude or distant. They are simply exhausted from carrying pain nobody ever noticed. And somewhere tonight, someone will hear words like these and realize Why silence often feels easier than trying to explain a sadness nobody fully understands. Sometimes a person becomes so good at pretending that even they forget what happiness used to feel like. They laugh at the right moments, answer messages, sit with friends, continue living like everyone else. But deep inside, there is a quiet emptiness growing larger every day. The terrifying part is how no one notices when someone slowly stops feeling alive inside, because the performance becomes more believable than the real person underneath it. People talk about heartbreak like it only comes from love. They never talk about the heartbreak of becoming someone unrecognizable. One day, a person looks in the mirror and realizes they missed the version of themselves that used to feel excited about small things. The child we once loved mornings, dreams, and the future disappears so slowly that nobody noticed the funeral happening inside, not even the person grieving themselves. Sleeps stops feeling peaceful after a while. Nights become dangerous because silence forces every memory to return, every embarrassing moment, every cruel word, every time they beg silently for someone to stay. The dark room starts feeling crowded with talks that never leave. And somehow, mornings feel even worse because waking up means surviving another day they never asked for. Another day of carrying memories that refuse to stay in the past. There are moments when a person wants to explain everything they feel, but the words stay trapped inside their chest. Not because they do not exist, but because pain becomes impossible to translate after a certain point. How can a mind describe the feeling of being tired in the soul? The kind of tiredness sleep cannot fix. The kind that follows them everywhere like a shadow stitched to their body, making even simple moments feel unbearably heavy. Sometimes they become jealous of happy people, not in a cruel way, just quietly, softly. They watch people laugh without forcing it and wonder what that feels like. They see others making plans for the future while secretly struggling to imagine themselves alive long enough to have one. Happiness starts looking like a language they forgot how to speak years ago, like something meant for everyone except them. Even memories stop feeling safe after enough pain. Old photographs become painful evidence that time keeps stealing people piece by piece. A smile in a picture can ruin an entire night because it reminds them of who they used to be before sadness became permanent. Nostalgia is dangerous for people like that. It makes them grieve versions of themselves that no longer exist, versions they know they may never become again. And nobody talks enough about emotional exhaustion, about how draining it is to carry invisible pain every single day while acting normal. Smiling becomes work, replying becomes work, existing becomes work. Sometimes they're not lazy or distant or cold. Sometimes they are simply exhausted from surviving talks that never let them rest, talks that follow them into every quiet moment like an endless echo. The worst feeling is realizing that nobody is really coming to save them, not in the dramatic movie way. Real life is quieter than that. People leave, people get bored, people misunderstand. Eventually, a person learns how temporary human connection truly is. They stop telling others how bad things are because experience taught them that most people only stay for the easier parts, never for the nights where the sadness becomes impossible to hide. And in the end, the saddest people are often the gentlest ones, the ones who understand pain too deeply to give it to others, the ones who stay awake, comforting everyone else but secretly falling apart themselves. But even the gentle hearts grow tired eventually. Even they begin to disappear quietly into themselves. And one night, after carrying loneliness for far too long, they stop looking at the stars for comfort because even the sky starts to feel unbearably empty, just like everything else inside them. That's all I want to say today. If you want to join us or Yelcast adventure, don't forget to subscribe. You can listen to us on Spotify or YouTube. And follow for the latest updates in our Instagram address. See you in the next episode.